All right, guys. Hi, welcome back to the Shankly's Boot Room channel, and I've got a big apology to make straight off the cuff that I haven't been doing so many videos of late, and I've just been so busy. I mean, as most of my subscribers know, that I started this channel actually as kind of like more of an historical channel in terms of looking back to the years gone by and the Shankly years and all that kind of more historical stuff around the club. But I just haven't had the time of late to really get in. Of course, I'm a Liverpool fan. I love the club, and so wonderful for me to have on. He's been on once before, thing, but so wonderful for me to have Cal from Kopish on with me. Thanks for jumping on, Cal. Really appreciate it. Very busy man, of course. As you Liverpool fans know, he's on about 17 streams a day and counting. Yeah, it's great to have you on, Cal. Well, because I haven't really been on that much, kind of a lot's been spoken about where the club is at this current moment and everything that's going on with the club and all that kind of stuff. Hi there, Oscar. And I just wanted to give my little bit of a part of that to really and see what you feel about that. And the main thing for me relating to it is that what I see for a start off, if we just go to the start of this season, excluding how the poor form was beginning to show itself before, from the start of this season and how things have gone, it's quite clear that Slot has tried to do way too much for the start of the season, effectively. So he's trying to change formation. He's tried to grade 5 or 6 players. And we know that just doesn't actually, it doesn't matter how good a manager you are, actually, that is always going to not really work, I would say, personally. And so what's your kind of thoughts around the start of the season and kind of like the changing of, I mean, I think the alarm bells were a bit pre-season. I think we played Yokohama and looked at the shape and and we actually got at times outplayed in that game, I thought.
Yeah.
And I think the alarm bells were already starting to show then. Now, I know it's not all Slot's fault because obviously we had Isak came in with no pre-season, the players integrated and everything. But do you think he's taken in that regard?
It's a really tricky one. I get what you're saying about pre-season. I actually think the alarm bells started from last season. So from the start of 2025 right up until now, really, I think there's been alarm bells. But because we were walking the league last season, I think it was glossed over. However, this season we started, and obviously the first 5 games we win in the league, and I think that lulled us into a full sense of security because we were winning games, and we were winning games, and you probably think to yourself, like, this is what champions do. You find a way to win, and then the performances will come on. I've always said the first 10 games of the season for me is all about winning, and then the next 10 games were about performances and winning, and then the last 10 games or last 8 games are like just results. But over the last couple of months, it's been horrendous, man. Been horrendous. And look, I'm not going to sit here and call Arne Slot a rubbish manager or anything like that. I don't think you can be a rubbish manager in the league. I just think he's getting it wrong, and I think he's gone so far now that I don't know if he can be rectified.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with you. There's also some other things I've noticed, and this harps back to the sort of things that I like to talk about, really, and that's kind of like how we become going back to the times when Shankly took over and the principles that he wanted to bring into the club at that time. And it doesn't matter, because one of the biggest things I always face when I talk about these things is, oh, but you're talking about something that was 50 years ago, it's all changed now, football's different. Well, that may well be the case, but the principles of how Liverpool need to be run and should be run from what Bill Shankly's vision was for the club, and let's be honest about it, he's our foundation stones of this club. was simplicity and keeping things simple, and that football was a very simple game. Only this morning, I had something come up on my YouTube feed about Bob Paisley, so I thought I'll watch that, and it tied in so brilliantly because they was talking to Bob Paisley about that very thing, about what makes Liverpool successful, and he says, "Well, I don't think there's any magical ingredients." He said, "But it's simplicity, really. We do everything simple. We just do the simple things. We train simple. We work simple. We do everything simple. We make sure everybody understands what they're doing, and that's the way we do it." And he said, and one of the reasons why some other clubs are not successful try to not be simple, and they try to bring in their own thing. And I just thought, wow, because that's what we're really seeing. We're seeing confusion week after week. I mean, I don't know about yourself, but sometimes I think I have to sit there and think, so how are we actually setting up here? Do the players know how we're setting up? It doesn't appear like they even know, and it just all looks so complicated. It just looks like, we're hearing about this donut midfield. We're hearing about too many players advanced positions. So, I mean, do you think that's another reason as well? It's just we've gone away from, because let's be honest about it, Slot didn't actually do that. He just tweaked and changed things around a little bit, but the principles and all the rest of it, what he was doing was more or less the same as what Klopp was doing. He just tinkered it around, and yeah, okay, he brought Gravenberch into the six and things like this, but now we're telling Gravenberch to head on up the pitch. So I just wonder if you think that's another issue, the whole simple principles of what the club was built up on, we've moved away from.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like he's overcomplicated it quite a lot, and it's weird because one of the biggest things that I credited Slot with last season is that he would create little adjustments so that we didn't play the exact same against every single team. So, for example, Man United away last season, Gravenberch actually acted as a number 8, and McAllister was a deep line playmaker / deepest line midfielder. And we absolutely overloaded the midfield. Gravenberch ran the game, and we were excellent from start to finish. However, this season it feels as though he just doesn't know what to do, and it's like he wants to adjust to each team, but he's not making the right adjustments this time. And it's leaving us completely open, both from a defensive standpoint, but also we have no attacking patterns either. The attacking play just seems to be, we'll get the ball to Salah and try and make him create something. And for me, that's not sustainable, and it doesn't make sense. Not to mention the way he's utilised a lot of the players. It feels as though he doesn't understand some of the player profiles, or he's trying to make them do things that they're uncomfortable with. And to me, that doesn't make sense. I'd rather you go and get a player who's comfortable doing what you want them to do, rather than getting a player and then trying to remold said player. For me, it doesn't make sense. And I think by him doing that, it's created way more issues than it should have. And I think I look at Kopish, for example. His confidence looks completely gone. He looks a shadow and a shell of himself. And it takes a long time for footballers to build up that confidence again after having a bad run. It's not looking good at the moment.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Well, I suppose I should get it out there where I stand with the whole Slot thing, and I think I am at this moment, as it stands, Slot out. Yeah, he can prove us all. I mean, if we come back in and we have a run of these next 4 or 5 games, and we win the lot or something, and we all look back on track, I suppose, but a lot of us can change our minds. But at this moment in time, because of the loss of 7 in 10, I think it is, and because of the way we looked, particularly against Man City, I thought we were just awful, devoid of everything, even fight and commitment, which are the basics of Liverpool, of any club really, but especially Liverpool. So I'm quite worried. I'm very, very worried about how things are going. And I don't know. These next few games are really massive for him and for the club, I think, because even though the club have publicly come out and said we're supporting him, obviously we all know that behind the scenes they'll be keeping a very close eye on it, and if these results continue, then it will become impossible for him really, because with the investment we've made in the summer, with the signings and the money spent, which the top ends of the club will be very much looking at, all that sort of thing. So of course, with us being champions last year, there will be parameters which we have to meet this year, and slipping down and down the league just will not be acceptable. I'm pretty sure about that. Don't know what you think, but I mean,
Yeah, it's a tricky one because it,
we,
it almost feels as though we're playing out what happened with Brendan. So Brendan, we got really close to winning the league, and then he got a bunch of money and signed a bunch of players, trying to integrate them, and it didn't work, and we ended up falling out of the Champions League spot. And then he got the summer to start again, and then he got sacked in October. And I personally think if Klopp had come in that summer, would have probably things would have just been different. And I think the fact that Brendan got till October kind of set us back a few months, and maybe even set us back a year, to be fair. By the time Klopp came in, he was a fixed job rather than he could implement his own ideas. It's difficult to see how we're going to do things because with Brendan there, we had two options. We had Ancelotti, we had Klopp, two bona fide world-class managers. There aren't any bona fide world-class managers unavailable at the moment, or available at the moment. However, I do think us being Liverpool, we could definitely tempt managers out of clubs. And I don't think we need a Klopp-level manager to get the best out of these players. I think we needed a Klopp-level manager at that point because we were basically trying to build Liverpool from the ground up, whereas now we're trying to maintain the standard of winning leagues and Champions Leagues, etc. So I look at Klopp's situation, and I don't think the club are going to get rid of him. But I also sit there and I ask myself, how much leeway does he have? Because we cannot finish outside the Champions League spots, not with the money spent, not with the investment made, and not with the players we have and the wages we've got from the players on. And plus, you got some of these players will look at it and go, "I'm not going to stick around. I'm here to play Champions League," and they will get offers from other clubs. So it's and currently we're in a top four battle. We are in a top four battle. We're not in a title race right now. And if we don't start winning games and putting a win together, then we're going to be in massive trouble.
yeah. I mean, if you think about it, 10 or 11 defeats in a season, you'll be struggling to get top four. Generally speaking, over the years, well, we've got 5 already. So, and we can still lose against our closest clubs, if only those we lose to. So the Arsenals, Man City have already just beaten us. Chelsea and teams like that, they can on their day beat us. So. As anyone can, but I'm just what I'm trying to say there is we've got to be so careful here, because we're on a bit of a sort of precipice at the moment, where if we fall over the edge, it could be quite costly and hard for us to get back on track with it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I fully agree with that. But you see, the thing is, this is the thing that I want to mention now, and I don't know if everyone's in agreement with this, but I don't want to diss the guy completely, because he won us the league last year, and he done some stuff. And in the season, the way his substitutions work so well, his in-game management was so brilliant. So I do think he's a really great coach. But the problem with Slot that I'm starting to see is he's quite egotistical, and he's quite puffed up with a lot of self-importance. And what I mean by that is some things that you see. When he went to AZ, Alkmaar, he could have won the league that year in his first season as a manager, because he was about 10 points clear when they nullified the league that year. So he probably would have gone on to possibly win that. And then, of course, his success at Feyenoord, and then coming to Liverpool. So it's easy to understand why someone would become quite, but I do think he's on a mission to become one of the greatest Dutch managers there's ever been, and I think he wants to be the Pep Guardiola, if you like, of Dutch football, in that he will bring in his own philosophy and make that work, and that's all fine. But the problem you've got is, does his system work in a league such as the Premier League? That's the one big thing that I would say about that. This thing of vacating the midfield quite a bit. There's no defensive shape in the team at all, really. And also the build-up from the back is so ponderous and so slow that I think when I was talking to you privately the other day, I gave you an example of my son in goal and standing behind the goal, and because he was 9-10 years old and kids wander in their minds. So the manager used to say to me, "Go and stand behind there, and you can just gee him up when the ball's coming towards him," which is what I used to do. And because a player on his toes and ready to go is much better than a player who's just kind of like. So what I'm trying to say there is the natural progression of slow build up and slow football and just passing it around at the back is the opposition team are on fast mode and they are going to try and intercept you. And when they do intercept you, their pace, their thought processes, everything is much more switched on than what your than the body language and how your mentality is, if you like, really. And so immediately there's an issue there. So I don't really like slow build up. I never have, and that kind of thing. And then you put into the factors of how we're struggling passing out from the back and just our whole show in general. So I think what I'm trying to say here in general is can that system really work here in the Premier League? And are we starting to see that it actually can't? Because, and maybe he's him coming to the realisation, I don't know, that perhaps, and certainly when you're trying to integrate so many players and all the rest of it, it just seems like a mission impossible for me. What about you?
Yeah, you make some really good points, bro. The thing is, last season we kind of got spot on between Klopp's heavy metal and control, like complete control of a game. We're almost a hybrid of that, where we were able to switch it on and really guide teams when there's no blood, but we were also able to sit back and control games and sort of subdue the opponents when they were trying to get into games as well. And it just made us defensively more sound, especially the first half of the season. But again, it seems as though he just wants to be ultra controlling. And in the Premier League, teams are, it's not like in other countries where, like Germany and Holland and Spain, where teams will actually just go toe to toe a lot of the time and they'll go technique for technique. Premier League teams will go, okay, well, you can have the ball there, but as long as you don't get into our box or you don't get into the final third, we don't care. Because possession out there doesn't do anything to us. So they'll just hold their shape, hold their position, and that's what's happening. And because we are so slow in build up, it just allows teams naturally to just reshape and then start up still, and then by that time, then you're having to pass backwards again and then start again. And it just means teams are. It's easy for them to prepare against us. And we should never be easy to prepare.
No.
And right now, not saying we can't win games, but teams will go into games thinking we can get something out of this because we know how they're going to play. And that for me is a concern.
Yeah. And I think that's been the thing that I've picked up on, and lots of people have got into different formations and how we're setting up and how we're not getting the best out of players, and that's all definitely there. But I just picked up on actually just generally the system itself, that he wants to employ. I just don't see it really being effective in this league. Really, there's a lot of very, 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 very good managers now in this league. There really are, and they've got all the data like we have. Let's not sit on the fence on it. They've all got their own data as well. So they're looking at the teams they've got coming up, and so they're working out how to play against them and everything. So, like you say, the easier we make it for other teams by just being passive and being, not in the right shape and all the rest of it. It's just an encouragement for other teams, really, as I see it. I'm not particularly bent out of shape with understanding formations too much because Klopp's system was known by everybody, but he just done it to the best. He just said, well, whether you've got to break that down. That was his kind of mentality around it all. And I think obviously Slot gets a little bit too deep in thought about, we've been worked out, or we've all been worked out, kind of thing. He's got brilliant players. We've got brilliant players on our club, so you just got to get them in the right positions and use them to the best of their ability. And then I think the team will shine because, we've got one of the best 10s in the world. I still think when Isak settles in and gets fit and starts playing fully, he will come into his own.
Yeah.
And if we start using our wing backs properly, do you know something? I don't know if I mentioned this to you or to somebody else. But this team, a lot of it almost suits Klopp.
Yeah,
You know,
it
he would have
does.
loved these wing
Yeah,
backs,
yeah, that's said that to me. It
and
does.
he would have loved to. He would have loved Ekatike because Ekatike can do that kind of false nine role that Klopp used to love so much, and he would just get the balls being fed in from the wide areas from Frimpong and from Kirkes, and for him to just come on late onto the ball and feed off. So I mean, but you can almost see that if he just used the players as you mentioned earlier, Kirkes, this inverting Kirkes thing, and he's lost all the confidence through it. So I don't know. Now, do you think there's anything around the backroom staff that is because the way I look at it is I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the backroom staff per se, but the backroom staff in particular, Van Bronckhorst in this case, has been a manager himself, is seeing this playing out week after week, but there doesn't seem to be very much change. He's either got no say or I don't know. He doesn't seem to be because that's another thing. And number two is as important. We all know that Alex Ferguson used to change his number twos every couple of years to keep it fresh and to keep it churning over. And he always felt once things become a bit stale, he wanted to have that more input from other people. The issue there.
It's very difficult to know, and we obviously lost Heighton. It looks as though it's quite coincidental because Heighton's a go and it kind of falls apart a little bit. However, Heighton went and became a manager and he's been sacked already, so it's difficult to say. I don't know because Giovanni Van Bronckhorst is quite an attacking manager as well. Whereas Heitinger, obviously, you would assume from him being a defender would be a bit more defensive minded.
Yeah.
So obviously, maybe there's that balance with him and Klopp there. However, it's difficult to say because with Klopp, it was quite obvious that Klopp stepped away from the day-to-day coaching and left that to Pep Linders.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything that suggests that Slot has done that because we have Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards there who do the other stuff outside the club, whereas Klopp is doing all of that stuff himself. So I don't think so. I just think, like as you said, I think he's almost overcomplicating and he's trying to reinvent the wheel when he didn't really need to. I think he just needed to make small tweaks from what we were doing last season, and then with the addition of the new players, we should have been fine in theory. But it's been anything but.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Well, we're coming up to. I won't hold you too much longer, Cal. But I just wanted to go a little bit over the weekend's game because obviously this is a big game for Arnie Slot. It's a big game for us. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what we just don't know what kind of Liverpool's going to turn up at the moment. But do you think, in your opinion, that these? I don't know when all the players get back. Obviously, there are still internationals going on at the moment. I'm assuming by probably tomorrow most will be coming back or at least back, I suppose. So it gives them. When we play Saturday 3 o'clock, don't we?
3 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah. So gives them a couple of days. Not that great a length of time, but how do you think it's going to play on Saturday? What's your thoughts on the game?
I'm a little worried.
It's a hard question, I know.
Yeah, I'm a little worried. If there's anything that we don't like playing against right now, it's a team that implements long ball and it's a team that has a low block, uses the dark arts, and tries to hit us on the counter attack. And I think this is exactly what Sean Dyche is going to do, and he's got the players to implement it as well. If we're going to win the game, in my opinion, we have to score the first goal. Yeah. If we don't get the first goal, then we're in trouble. If I'm going to be completely honest and candid with you, I think we draw the game. I think we have a score draw. I hope to God I'm wrong. I just look at this as a potential banana skin because everyone will look at this game and go, yeah, it's not in the Forest, they're 9-2, we're at home, of course we're going to beat these lot. But it's the way teams play against us at the moment that cause us issues, and not in the Forest have got everything at their disposal. And the manager who knows that we hate playing that, knows how to quiet an Anfield crowd and all those things. So yeah, it's going to be tricky.
Do you think this is the time now? Well, I'm just not sure, to be honest with you, because when we played when we played against Real Madrid, we gave such a great commanding performance in that, and then to follow that up with Man City. So there's obviously a very big issue with consistency,
Yeah.
which is quite ironic, really, because if there's been anything about Slot over his whole time as a manager, he's been a very consistent type of manager in that he's always got fairly good level of performances out. I mean, I think up until he'd never lost more than 2 games in a row, which is quite amazing, really, when you think it's quite something that. And been playing in the Dutch league, but even so, it's still quite an achievement. But we've now become this really up and down, inconsistent side, and then some of that's confidence, some of that's obviously the way he's utilising the players. But do you think this is now a time for us to maybe start seeing the big four up front? Obviously Wirtz, Ekitike, Isak, and Salah together. Do you think do you think he's got that in mind to work on a formation where he can get all of them in or do you think he's not at that stage yet? Obviously Isak is still coming back from his injury and stuff.
I think we could incorporate all four. Like if we do that, we're going to leave ourselves on the bench, in my opinion, because you only got Gakpo then on the bench. For me, the whole idea of buying Ekitike was that Isak would be the main guy, but Ekitike would get his minutes in the league. Isak almost share the minutes to almost give them like 2,500 minutes throughout the season. But obviously, because we're out of the Carabao Cup now, FA Cup doesn't start until January. You'd almost arguably say that Isak is now fit. Maybe he gets the Premier League games, he's more Prem proven than Ekitike, and then Ekitike gets some of the Champions League games. I think the issue I have with playing all four is Ekitike is not a left winger, and I know people say, well, he can play out there, he can play there, but I don't think you get the best out of him. And I think you get the best out of him playing centrally and having players around him that can help create alongside him, and he can play off as well. By playing him on the left, you're actually asking him to do defensive work as well, because Salah's not going to do the defensive work. Naturally, the left winger is going to have to do more running from a defensive standpoint, which again takes away from a lot of his game where he's a bit of a maverick and can make something happen out of nothing. So for me, I would still put. If it was up to me, I'd go Chiesa left wing, but that's never going to happen under this manager. I'd go Isak through the middle to get him into form. However, I'm more than happy to take Ekitike to start. Salah's a tricky one because it's not working for him this season. Barring a couple of games, it's not working for him this season. And for me, Wirtz has to play 10 now. We've got to stop messing Wirtz around and playing him left, right, and false nine, and pivot, and left wing. Just play him in his preferred position. Let him get a run of game, and just let him do what he does.
And so the midfield for this game, what do you think that should look like? Would you like to see? Would you like to see McAllister, Grav and Szoboszlai? Would you like to see maybe Curtis Jones in there, something a bit different? Or because one of the issues I have is McAllister and Wirtz, they almost take up the same. Once McAllister receives the ball, he's looking to go in the same area as Wirtz. They're almost on top of one another if you look. And it doesn't seem to be quite working for me, but apart from the fact he's been really out of form himself as well. But I don't know. What's your thoughts on the midfield for this one?
For me, it's got to be Grav and Szoboszlai. Like them two have been head and shoulders up. Curtis Jones has also been very good this season when he's played. Injuries have kind of disrupted his season, which is really a shame because it seems like this happens throughout his career. He'll build up a good run of form and then he'll get injured and then be out of the scene. But for me, Grav and Szoboszlai starting the pivot and then Wirtz in the 10.
Okay.
What about yourself?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's about right for me as well. I go along with that. Now, this is the tough question really because we're kind of looking into the unknown. Let's just say hypothetically, 4 games down the road, we have Nottingham Forest, West Ham, is it away?
Yes.
In the league, I'm talking about the league.
Yeah.
Then we got Sunderland at home. let's just
Yeah.
say hypothetically we lose all three. I'm not saying that we're going to, and we probably I don't think that will happen. But let's just say we do lose all three of those. Um, that's going to put immense pressure on the manager and everything. Um, let's just say they do pull the plug on him. Enough's enough. What do you think happens then? What would be your answer to that situation if that happens? And I do believe the club will be working on this. By the way, they will be looking into some of this, even though they've come out and publicly said, "Yeah, we're supporting the manager." They're going to say that, but ultimately, we know they won't be able to afford. I mean, that would make us on in November, which would be ridiculous. What do you think would happen then? I've got my theory, but I don't know if it's very popular. But what would be your?
It would be. So I've got one which I think most people would see as logical, and that would be trying to get Iriola in Bournemouth. But I know this isn't going to be popular. I know people are going to think I'm crazy saying this, but Gerrard until the end of the season with an experienced assistant manager.
Mm. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I've got no problem with that. Excuse me. My thought, and a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, that's not going to happen," but my actual thought is, and this is no other than just the biggest thing I think that Liverpool will need at that is they will need someone to come in who's going to motivate the heck out of them and get them back again. And I would actually be very, very keen, because I'm not looking at this person as someone who's coming for a long stay. It will just be to the end of the season. I'd actually really, really like to see Klopp back. And the reason I'm saying that is because he's not going to be involved with Michael Edwards, because he won't be involved around the signings. It's just literally coming into the end, because I know he's done an interview saying they were fine together, but we all know they weren't. It's just quite clearly obvious.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't be an issue in this situation. I don't think so, because what would be the best thing for Liverpool is his character and his personality coming in and giving everyone the lift. There's no greater person in probably world football than Klopp for that. And that would then give them the lift, and then we might start seeing. And obviously, he would change to very much his own style of play, which I think will suit the players anyway. He will just put players in the right positions, and hopefully that would be a positive thing. I'm not saying this would work. I'm just saying that's the because even if Gerrard comes in, does he have the experience to lift the players? Does he have the experience to, that's my only question mark on that one. But Klopp would get the best out of them, and then at the end of the season, then you can look at what your options are from there. There might even be a bigger pool of bigger pool of managers by then that would maybe the timing could be correct for them to come in. Would you be kind of opposed to Klopp?
I would be. I love Jurgen Klopp. He's my favourite manager of all time. I just think sometimes he shouldn't go back, and I think Klopp's someone I don't think Klopp would do well in an interim. I think Klopp's someone that, and I know he's been at the club before, so it'd be slightly different. But a lot of these players are new and haven't worked with Klopp, so it'd be almost like a brand new start for him. Plus, he did look really tired when he left as well, and he just seems like he's enjoying life now. And I don't think he wants to go back into that slog of daily managing Liverpool. Not to mention the person he trusted as number 2 is now at Man City, so that's someone he's not going to be able to bring to Liverpool with him either. So I just don't see it happening. I wouldn't know who number 2 would be. Is he bringing in new coaching staff, and then how does that look? Because he's interim. So I love Klopp, but I'd rather him not come back because I just don't want to ruin what he had as a manager.
Yeah, it's fair. I was thinking mostly upon what we might need after another 3 losses, because I will be pretty on the floor for confidence, all of that stuff. And I just think quite quickly he would probably get people motivated and going again. But I know what you're saying. I do agree with you to a certain point. Going back to the Steven Gerrard thing, I don't know what you think about this, but I personally think that Steven Gerrard would have gone to Rangers and should have stayed at Liverpool. And I think he should have worked into a number two position behind Klopp and learnt everything from Klopp. I know they've got different personalities, but what I'm trying to say is learn all that ins and outs, day to day stuff of working at that level with the club, and then possibly gone on to actually manage Liverpool from there. And that would then be back to the sort of employing from within that we always used to adopt back in our history, of course. But he didn't do that. He went to Rangers, and I know he was amazing there. But I'm just saying that I think I think it'd be quite tough on him to come in. They lost another 3 or 4 games to come in and work with that, with his experience at this level and all the rest of it. It might really work. I don't know. But then it might not. So I don't know. It's a real difficult one.
So
But the other thing is, of course,
I didn't have a problem with him going to Rangers. I just thought that was smart because you could go to a league where it's not a crazy league and still kind of cut your teeth there. I think him going from Rangers to Villa was a mistake. I think he maybe made that too soon. And I don't think he wasn't great at Villa towards the end, but I don't think he's as bad as some people made out either. But I also look at some of the players who were at Villa at that time, and they weren't very professional, and they weren't as good as the players they have now. I look at Gerrard in the same way I look at Vincent Kompany a little bit in the sense of I don't think Vincent Kompany is a special manager, but what he's doing at Bayern Munich is getting a great amount of those out of those players because they already have the quality to implement the style he wants to play. I think Gerrard's one of those managers that he has a style of play, and if he has the personnel that allow him to play it, then he's absolutely fine. Like, if he doesn't have the personnel, then he looks awful. I think if he was at Liverpool with the quality of players we have, I'm not saying he'd be some master tactician. I'm not saying he'd be the next Klopp or anything like that, or the next Guardiola. But I do think we get a tune out of these players.
Yeah, no, I think he definitely would get a tune out of them. I agree with you on that one. I was thinking a bit more like Pep Guardiola, a Barcelona B team, worked his way through that way to come up to. And I just think when he was working with the under-21s, to progress work with Klopp would have been amazing for him, really. And he would have learnt so much from that. And then I think we'd already seen what kind of manager he can really, really be, And with what you're saying a little bit, I mean, it wasn't a bad thing to do by any means, going to Rangers, of course, and he must have learned heaps from that. But yeah, it is an issue. So if we wasn't to bring a Klopp back in, and we say didn't go for a Steven Gerrard, then we'd probably be looking to pry someone out of a job. They're already in, I'm assuming, really.
Iraola, I think, for me, would make the most sense.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, I've got a lot of. The only thing with him is Liverpool too big for him right now? That's the only question mark I'd have on him. I don't know what you thought. It's another big leap up, similar to Slot, really, I suppose. But
yeah, it probably is, but we wouldn't know unless we tried it. Because from Feyenoord to Liverpool, was a great leap as well.
Yeah, it was.
And Slot did it very well in his first season. I think the advantage that Iraola would have is that he knows the league. He knows what's expected from the intensity, and he knows how to set up against certain teams. And he's worked with Kerkez. He's worked with potentially Semenyo if we get him as well. So I wouldn't be concerned if we got Iraola. But I understand the reservations as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, yeah. Well, thanks then, Cal. Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. I know you've got to crack on. You've got other things to do as well, and I just appreciate for your time you've had with it, and thank you very much for that, and some insightful points. Let's hope for a big win on Saturday. Kickstart us on this run now on the way up to Christmas. And let's just hope we can our season round. No one wants to see his job, by the way. I want to make that quite clear. I don't want to see him do that. He won the league for us last year, and I went to the parade, and I saw all the wonderful celebrations we had there, and you know, and all the rest of it. And I hope he can turn it round. My only doubt is, has he gone too far down the road of this implementing his own? How deep down the road is he actually stubborn to keep on going along with that, at the expense of his expense of the results, but also his job, I think, in the long term. So let's just hope he can find that balance. And whenever you do things, it's got to be done slowly. You can't bring in so many players and change a system. And of course, you've got to remember that the other players outside of those that have been here, quite a few of them over Klopp's period, you know, it's a big change for them.
Yeah.
To suddenly start changing to all this new style as well, you know. I mean, they used to go in 100 miles an hour under Klopp. Now they're playing out the back like snails.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a big change, you know. Just quickly, do you think Alisson will be back on Saturday, or do you know anything on his fitness side?
So he's meant to be back in training this week. I don't think he'd start this weekend though.
No, come a bit early.
Yeah.
I think Mamardashvili's grown.
So do I.
He was a bit shaky at the beginning, but he's kind of grown into it, isn't he? And he's obviously a really good shot stopper.
I've had no issue.
No, he's good. Well, thanks for your time, Kel. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for jumping on. How's your football?
Getting there.
I'm
going to take either today or tomorrow and see how it is when I'm walking around. So hopefully it's all right. I won't be back at football for another couple of weeks, I'd say minimum.
So you've been getting out the school runs at the moment.
Yeah. Because I still can't get away with not getting up early though. When they get out, it's too loud anyway, so I can't.
Oh yeah. That's kids. Yeah.
I'm out
anyway,
at
thanks
the moment. Back soon.
for your time. I really do appreciate it. And,
pleasure, bro. Thank you for having me on the channel.
And
thank you for having me on the channel.
No, I really do appreciate it. And I want to get to more, relating to the history of the club and stuff like that. You know, and I want to try. I've got a few people I'd like to get on that come from that era that I've been speaking to, and so hopefully that's all going to take shape as well. So that'd be really interesting. But thanks for all you do, and in terms of Kopish, big up to it. Guys, if you aren't subscribed, please do go ahead and subscribe to Kopish. I'm sure you are, because most of my subscribers here are already subscribers of Kopish. But if you're not, please do. Great channel and doing great things over there. Anyway, I shall catch you very soon, guys, on the next one. And so have a great day, and let's big up for a win on Saturday.